Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Thursday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. The campus at Montana State University went into shelter-in-place mode today as police search for a suspect who may have been armed.
Now, tonight, authorities say emergency alerts to students and orders to get out of the open quickly set things into motion.
MTN's Cody Boyer was on the Bozeman campus during that situation and has all the details.
In the end, about 2 hours after this all started, campus police say they found the man here inside Norm Asbjornson Hall. Now, MSU Police Chief Frank Parrish says this began with a social media post from an employee, a current employee here on campus.
MSU Police received a report of a threat made by an MSU employee.
After that, officers moved quickly, locking all buildings, and immediately started looking for the man behind it.
The suspect stated to a family member that he was ready to end it all, and he has all of his guns loaded, and he was ready to take out anyone with him.
Agents from across the area rallied, working through the county 911 center and the emergency alert system. The suspect was nowhere to be found, but just minutes before had been at the campus police station.
In this particular case, we didn't know where the suspect was. We knew he was on campus because he came by about 20 minutes prior to that and bought a parking pass. He was also scheduled for a 2 o'clock meeting, a dismissal hearing. He was an employee going through the disciplinary process.
And according to Chief Parrish, the man was possibly armed with several guns.
We were told that the suspect had 2 shotguns and a rifle. We have not recovered those at this time, but that's all the information that we have on that. He was not armed at the time he was taken into custody.
Police worked quickly, using the county emergency alert system and sending text alerts out to students and staff, putting the university into shelter-in-place mode, something both campus officials and all police agencies involved say might have changed how this played out.
The joint operation with the county 911 center allowed us to dispatch units from all over the county instantaneously, something that in the past we didn't have the capability of doing.
The emergency alert system is absolutely vital. I mean, in a situation where we've got something fast-moving happening, we want to be able to get that information out quickly.
And with that, the shelter in place was lifted. No one was hurt, and the man was sent to the Gallatin County Detention Center. Without the help of technology and teamwork, Chief Parrish says this could have ended much differently.
They followed the procedures that we trained them in doing. They listened to the emergency alert. I'd also like to really thank leadership here at MSU, because without their support, we wouldn't be able to put these security measures in place that I believe makes MSU very safe.
Investigators are still looking for the weapons that Chief Parrish does confirm that this man had access to. Police also impounded his car in a parking lot near Norm Asbjornson Hall, also here on campus in Bozeman. Cody Boyer, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Cody.
In other news tonight, a 74-year-old Texas man reported missing near Livingston yesterday has been found dead.
After nearly 8 hours of searching, his body was found in Shields River, just north of Livingston. Undersheriff Clay Herbst says the man's wife reported him missing just before 10 o'clock last night after he failed to return home from a walk.
Now, the man was believed to be in good health at the time, but it is unknown if he suffered a medical emergency that led him to fall in the river or if he slipped and fell. An Air Force helicopter out of Great Falls used an infrared camera to search through the night.
But this morning, search crews on the ground were finally able to locate the man's body.
Another crew from Billings Flying Service is off to Alaska to help fight a massive wildfire. This Billings crew left in a Black Hawk helicopter yesterday. There are multiple large fires burning across that state, including this one, the Swan Lake Fire. And the fire has burned more than 100,000 acres near Sterling, Alaska, and is just 20% contained tonight. Billings Flying Service is often called in to assist with wildfires. In fact, its first crew of the season flew out in mid-June to help with fires in California.
Well, this week during a speech touting his administration's record on the environment, a record that has not been without its share of criticism, President Trump spent some time talking about forest fires and what can be done better to keep them in check.
In December, I signed a historic executive order promoting much more active forest management to prevent catastrophic wildfires like those that recently devastated California and Oregon.
Wildfires like those and the ones we've seen here continue to burn up a large chunk of the Forest Service budget, a budget the Trump administration has proposed cutting by $948 million for fiscal year 2020. Climate change has been blamed for the increasing number of devastating fires in recent years. Two words the president did not mention. He did talk a lot about forest management.
The process of cleaning is now really taking precedent. A lot of people are looking at forest management. It's a word that people didn't understand last year, and now they're getting it. And you don't have to have any forest fires.
He talked a lot about forest management. Either we are going to manage our forests or our forests are going to manage us. We've got to deal with the wildfire situation that we have, and we can reduce the risk of wildfires and severity of those wildfires by better forest management practices.
And we also heard from Montana's other U.S. Senator, Democrat Jon Tester, who responded in a statement saying he supports active forest management and believes it is an important piece of maintaining our healthy forest and local jobs. Tester says that needs to be coupled with habitat conservation, improved public access, and a comprehensive approach to what he calls the underlying cause for wildfires, climate change.
And as we hope Mother Nature is kind to Montana forests this year, Bob McGuire joins us now to tell us about a busy night in the Weather Center.
Well,
Bob.
yeah, and of course, you have a lot of wet weather in the spring and the summer. That's going to help forest fire season as well. But tonight, as you said, it's been very active. Let me show you what we had. We started off here with our thunderstorm outlook for today, and you'll notice we had a marginal risk of severe storms from Bozeman to Billings, now back down to the southeast corner of the state. So let me show you what we've had tonight. Doppler radar shows the scattered showers continue across the south central part of Montana. Still got some big storms over there north of Miles City, but it looks like they're not quite as severe as they used to be. But we have had some hail out there. Take a look at our storm report. We've had basically half-dollar size hail over Lavina, quarter size hail at the Rygate, Rapelje, Roundup had almost had quarter size hail. Elsewhere, Cohagen had 1 inch size hail as well. And as you'll see here tonight, as far as watches and warnings, we had one over in Wheatland County that has since expired and not been updated. So we're kind of winding down for the night. We'll have your weekend forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob. Well, the president switching gears today as he drops the fight against adding the citizenship question to the 2020 census and instead takes executive action. The White House also announcing the launch of a nationwide operation against undocumented migrants. Natalie Brand is at the White House with details.
Are you a citizen of the United States of America?
President Trump announced he will take executive action to get citizenship information.
I am hereby ordering every department and agency in the federal government to provide the Department of Commerce with all requested records regarding the number of citizens and non-citizens in our country. We will utilize these vast federal databases to gain a full, complete and accurate count.
The Supreme Court blocked the question from the 2020 census 2 weeks ago, saying the government would need a better justification to add it. So the president had been considering other action, including an executive order.
There is simply no way to litigate these issues and obtain relief from the current injunctions in time to implement any new decision without jeopardizing our ability to carry out the census.
Trump administration officials also tell CBS News ICE is expected to begin conducting raids nationwide on Sunday to target undocumented immigrants with deportation orders. City leaders who oppose the raids are speaking out.
The fear and uncertainty about what's happening is falling disproportionately and harshly on our children.
And immigration attorneys and advocacy groups are preparing by pushing out information to those targeted.
You have rights.
Branches of the American Civil Liberties Union have filed a preemptive lawsuit to stop the raids, saying in a statement the Trump administration's threats against immigrants run roughshod over basic fairness and due process. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer of New York says the president's change on adding the citizenship question to the census is, quote, a significant victory for democracy and fair representation.
A tragedy back in June brought out the name John Muse in a way he probably never expected. What started as a promotional campaign shoot turned into the drowning of his photographer, Jesse Hubble, on Canyon Ferry Lake. That campaign, a run for the 2020 Senate. Muse, a U.S. Navy veteran, officially announced his intent to run for Senate as a Democrat today. The Montana native is a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and holds a master's in business administration. He worked as a high school teacher in Fort Belknap and also worked as an engineer for an international oil company. If he gets the nomination, he'll face off against Senator Steve Daines, who Muse calls, quote, a yes man for an erratic president.
Steve Daines voted for a massive tax cut on multinational corporations and America's wealthiest families. One of the biggest beneficiaries of that was foreign investors. But what happened? That tax cut blew a multi-trillion-dollar hole through the nation's pocketbook.
Well, to get that nomination, Muse will take on Helena Mayor Wilmot Collins, along with any other Democrats who decide to enter.
A former Wyoming congresswoman will now run for the U.S. Senate.
Cynthia Lummis is the first Republican to file for the seat that will open with Senator Mike Enzie's retirement. Q2's David J. has more on today's announcement. David?
Russ, Jeanelle, Cynthia Lummis served in the U.S. House as Wyoming's representative from 2009 to 2017. In November of 2015, she said she would not run for re-election. Today, she talked about running for the U.S. Senate.
I'm Cynthia Lummis, and I'm back.
This is from Lummis's campaign video on her website. Building a wall on the southern border, defunding sanctuary cities, the First Amendment and religious freedom, and the Second Amendment are among her top issues. She says she supports President Trump and wants to confirm his judicial nominees and appointees. And she's concerned with energy and the Democrats' Green New Deal. Before Congress, Lummis served as Wyoming's state treasurer and in the state legislature. Lummis is the only Republican to announce her run so far. A roll call asked her about Representative Liz Cheney running for the Senate. If Cheney does get in the race, Lummis said the primary would be a real barn burner. Jeanelle, Russ?
All right, thanks, David.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, Montana's Public Health Department now pushing for lead testing in public school waters. We'll look at the discussion.
Plus, the Montana Lottery taking a gamble, but some say it's a bad bet for sports betting.
And later in sports, here come the rest of your Big Sky State games. Scott shows us why they're now spread out between winter, spring, and summer.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.